And then as we begin, Nick, could you introduce yourself for the people who do not know who you are?
Hi, everybody. I'm Nick Bierman. I'm the Adolescent Program Director, so I oversee the administration of the 7th through 12th grade program.
And for those of you who do not know me, my name is Teresa Hichens Olson, and I am the Director of College Access. I am going to share my screen. All right, everyone, welcome to college night. This is kind of exciting. You have 11th graders, which means they are so very close to being seniors. And as most of you know, I am starting to work with the juniors. I am super stoked about it because it is a class that I feel like I know extremely well. And so it's an exciting journey that we're just beginning tonight overall. And so I want to go through, we do this every year. Want to tell you a little bit of who I am for those who do not know me. Again, my name is Teresa Hichens Olson. I am a Bush Fellow for the state of Minnesota for Equity in Higher Education. I am also the director and founder of your College Access Program. I will be in my 9th year, which means that this program did not exist 9 years ago. And it used to feel very new, and now it's feeling kind of middle-aged like I am. So it is in its 9th year of running. I also run my own college coaching firm. So I coach for students all over the United States, and this year for the first time internationally. And why that's important to know is that I live and breathe this college process, and I'm also meeting with high school counselors and directors across the United States and with college board people. I am on the national board for college admissions in both Stanford, I was chosen for that, and Bard College. So I look at ways with other counselors to make college more equitable and kind of to figure out the system and how to best serve students throughout the whole United States and not just your GRS. But I am also a proud alumni GRS parent. So these are my kids, and this is something I really care about. My approach, or the approach of the College and Career Access Program, is a very holistic thing. I believe very strongly that relationships matter. I believe very strongly in Montessori education, and that getting to know your kids and allowing your kids to reinvent themselves in this college process is essential. I also would like to say that I serve as a bridge from this young adult, from this teen to a young adult, and I'm excited and so proud that I get to know them as they go into their 20s. And I tell them all the time that they like me now, but they will love me when they're 27 and have absolutely no debt. And that is always our goal. So last year we were able to secure over $3 million in college scholarships that students in that class will never have to pay back. That again is something I'm very proud of and passionate about, and I work for each and every class. My goal is to find a unique fit, and that may be college, that may be trade school, whatever helps that student learn best, but also to reduce debt, because I am a big believer in that. The way that we do that is we offer workshops and panel discussions from experts in the field, and we're constantly evolving the program based on data. So I'm a very numbers data person, and I'm nerding out, and I love that. And I think that tells you a lot about how to make a program stronger. And that's something that we're constantly looking at. On that note, I am one college counselor, and I serve 74 students, with 98% going on to a 4-year college last year. So one of the things that I think is important in this session is that when we talk about expectations and we talk about what GRS does and doesn't do, how to supplement that, but also what the needs of each and every class is, because that is very different. So most of you have gotten a survey that talked about what you are looking for as far as support. It asks details. And if you haven't filled out that survey as a parent, please let me know. And I can send it to you again. The student has also gotten a survey, and what that does is trigger a one-on-one meeting with me. If you are talking to other parents who have high schoolers throughout the district, you'll see that this isn't happening in other high schools. So this is very unique to GRS, this one-on-one. And again, we're building on that relational stuff. I can't write a letter of rec for a kid I don't know. And so I work really hard to get to know your kid. It helps me know what your needs are and also set you up for potential scholarships and internships. The students have 3 one-on-one meetings with me per year. The rest is run via this workshop format. So at the beginning of September, we will have these workshops on Wednesday, which are: how do you write a college essay? How do you list your activity? How do you set up a Common App account? We go through all the aspects of that, but we're doing that as a large group. Again, I would encourage your student to come to those things because you can't know what you don't know. And so that's where I'm able to offer that support. I do not, in that role as a guidance counselor, meet and make one application for all the schools that they're applying for, because that's impossible once you do the math of 72 kids, with the average kid applying right now to about 10 schools. So that's over 790 applications or so. But I do all the paperwork for that, and that is pretty extensive. It is vital for your student to attend these workshops and meetings, and also to read their emails. Explore what should they be doing now is exploring the possibility, doing college tours, web searching. Again, they're having these one-on-one meetings with me, talking to kids about, what is possible instead of what do you want to be. I don't think any of us know what we want to be in all reality, right? We're always morphing and changing. And I think it's more about finding what feeds you and what brings you joy, but also how you learn and operate. So be open to those possibilities and the yes. And I also believe that the doors we close, we shut for ourselves. So for example, I have some students who Great River wasn't the best fit for them, and they didn't do well academically. And then they went on to do incredibly well in a college that was very different from the learning environment at Great River. And I think that's important that we say we love our school, but we know that people can thrive in different ways outside of our school. And I've been lucky enough to see that happen. So that's something that we're encouraging and looking for that way that you learn. So what caregivers can be doing now? I think one of the biggest things to realize is that this college process is not the same as when you went to college. I would even say I had a daughter who graduated in 2016. It is not the same as it was in 2016. It is not the same as it was in 2019. Why I love it is because it is constantly this Rubik's Cube that needs to be solved, and it's not ever one exact path. And so as a caregiver, I really do encourage you, it isn't like homework where you check it off and it gets done. It isn't like throw your application in there and it gets done. It's a very precise process of seeing what is good fits both economically and also learning environments matter. Where can your child thrive? 89% of the colleges right now do not require the ACT. That is something that has changed dramatically. Those colleges include MIT, Caltech, Brown, and that looks to not be changing. And we have students that are going to those schools without ever taking the ACT. So who should take the ACT? I tell people it's kind of like sprinkles on a cookie. If you are someone who tests well, If you are somewhere where that will add to your academic package, who doesn't like the cookie with sprinkles on it? Everybody picks the cookie with sprinkles on it. So if you are a great tester, do that. You also can take the test and not send it to any college to see if you are a good tester. But again, you don't need it for college, and that's something I just want to be clear about. However, there are a couple scholarships where the ACT is required. One is a full ride at Puget Sound, and there are some other academic scholarships where they are looking for ACT scores. That again has changed dramatically with COVID. I would say I know of two when I know of hundreds and hundreds of scholarships. So it's, again, if that's something that adds to your academic profile and you feel, or as a parent, you would want your kid just to try it, I'm happy to show you how to sign up for that. Most students are taking them at Central. I'm also happy to give fee waivers for free and reduced lunch students. And I'm also happy to talk you through whether that would be a good path for you. So as a caregiver, also getting to excited for the future, doing college visits, also realizing that this high school path in the last 3 years for your student has been very different than has ever happened in our society as far as having formal education. And I think education exhaustion coming out of COVID is real. And so please know that sometimes it's hard for kids to think about the future when they're so tired in the present. And that's my job, honestly. My job is to get them excited about how college can be so very different. But I also think pushing your kid shuts them down from talking. And I would really want this process with all of us to be as communicative as we can. Your other job is you're filling out that survey if you have not done so yet, setting up a college visit for this spring or summer. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit, what that looks like. This book, Read How to Pay Wholesale for College by Andy Lockwood, is free on Kindle. And the school also has copies. Why am I asking you to do that? Because this man is a financial advisor. He goes through what to report, what not to report, all of those things so that you can get the most money possible. It is a game, you guys. It is about strategy. And so that is what we're looking at. We're looking at the strategy of, one, finding this school that's going to give you the most money, and also that unique fit for your student. Looking at taxes, your taxes that you file this year are the ones that are going to be used to decide whether you get federal aid or not. So being strategic in the way that you look at those taxes. Again, it's a free book. It's not that exciting. I'm not gonna lie. It's about finance, but I have never had a parent read it and not save money. So I offer that as a tool to everyone. The nitty gritty of make college part of the conversation in your house. So what are things you would like? What are you looking forward to? What are possibilities? Have you thought about taking a gap year? Have you thought about other types of ways? Like, what is your learning when you think about not being at GRS? What does that look like to you? What has worked well for you at GRS, and what do you wish you had had? Those are great places to start. Again, those college visits, looking at support that might be needed in that process. Being open to, I think this is the hardest one as a parent, honestly. Being open to your student reinventing themselves as a college student. I've had parents say, how will he feed himself? He's not ever even made a sandwich. And they do, and they get to be different people. And the people they are standing across from you at graduation are going to look similar to who they are now, but they're also going to look different. The senior year really grows them as human beings. And again, some of us have a perfect transcripts and some of us have struggled, and it's okay to have a transcript that tells a story about you. It doesn't mean you can't go to college, and it doesn't mean you don't have possibilities. Um, Acknowledge that this is a big change for you as well. Again, these are the hard parts, like getting to know what your role looks like as a parent of a almost college student, and that our roles change. And I am here to talk through that and support that as much as I can, because I have done it. What tools does GRS supply for the college process? Again, we go back to those workshops on the Common App, essay writing. I have scholarship workshops, how to do an interview. All those things are happening at GRS when your student attends. I also supply a fee waiver for applications. If they qualify for free and reduced lunch, if there's an economic problem that prohibits a student from applying to college, I tell them at the workshop that I will even pay for it myself. I care deeply about this access and ability to be able to dream a little bit. And so there are free waivers for all of that. 3 meetings for families, you all. So you have 1 year, junior year. So we are setting up right now college meetings one-on-one. You are welcome to attend that via Zoom. And then you have 2 your senior year. I would say that most people use that at the beginning of the year. And then once all the decisions and scholarships and money have come in, how to decipher that and how to choose. You also are incredibly lucky about these amazing teachers that I work with every single day who blow my mind away with the caring that they work to provide for your students. They know your students and they want to support your students. And honestly, one of probably the main reason why we are ranked #1 in the United States for college access is that we are a school that cares about knowing your kid. I also commit to write reference letters for every single student at GRS. I think I'm up to like 90 right now and kind of tired, but they keep going. So I am committed to doing that because that helps them get into schools. We supply ratings. So I do the letter of rec. I talk about your child as a learner. Mid-year reports. I supply all the mid-year reports and then the final reports for each and every student. We have transcript request forms for those schools not on the Common App. And we also have a teacher request form. Thinking about juniors, I'm asking you to think about who would write the letter of rec for you. You want 2 teachers who from a core class who can talk about who you are as a learner. I also do scholarship workshops, and I also supply references for that. I do common application support. And for those of you who don't know what the Common App is, it is a universal application that we use at Great River to apply for college. So you can apply to lots of different colleges on the Common App. We have a Great River College Planning Facebook page, Schoology tools and updates. And again, this is what makes Great River different. We have a personalized college visit with over 68 colleges per year. So that's amazing. They fly from wherever they're coming from. We have people from Pittsburgh, people from Brown, McAllister, far close and far away. They come in and they meet your student one-on-one, because that meeting time that they're able to have with your one-on-one student makes the difference of picking them out of 12,000 students who look almost exactly the same in GPA. And so I work really hard to build that, and that's something we do. They start as soon as the trips are over, and it goes September, October, November, and then we are done with college visits. We also have graduate contacts who have gone before you, and they love to share info. They come back as an alumni board and talk, and they're just amazing people who care about GRS as well. Connections outside of GRS, college coaching. So college coaching is like you think about a reading tutor or a math tutor. That is They are people who do that one-on-one application with your student from beginning to end. I have a list of college coaches, and I am also on that list because that is what I do during breaks and summertime and after school. Connections with internships, program connections. I am constantly feeding the seniors scholarships and talking about why it is important to apply for them. College timeline for your class of 24. So March and April, we are starting this one-on-one meeting, spring parent conferences. April and May, we're looking at summer possibilities. We're doing a common application workshop where I'm talking about what is the Common App and what it looks like and how to make an account. Some students at this time may also take the ACT or do a practice test. May and June college visits are open to juniors, but I ask that you do one locally, even if you know you won't go there. And I'll talk a little bit about why that's important. And thinking about your letter of recommendation, I ask that every junior leave 11th grade having identified those two teachers and having asked them if they would consider writing them a letter of rec. June through August, GRS is closed. Look at college coaching if your student needs that one-on-one support, and a separate list can be provided of college coaches in your area. Senior year, big deadline, September to October 1st, the FAFSA opens. That does not mean that you have to rush to do the FAFSA. I have some parents in the senior class who are just doing it right now. Again, we go back to the rubrics cube. There is no one way to do this college stuff, and it all depends on what colleges your student is applying for. So it opens on October 1st. That means you cannot do it beforehand. We have those application meetings, September through October, super busy for us, and college visits. November 1st is an early decision. Know the difference between ED, early action, and regular decision. For some of this is a brand new vocabulary. Like I say those words to you, like, I have no idea what Teresa's saying. An early decision is a legally binding contract with a college saying, you are my first choice and I will go there. The only loophole is if they do not give you enough money to go. Why people use early decision is if you look at a school like Pitzer, Panoma, Brown, honestly, McAllister, Carleton, they're making their class up of 60%, even sometimes more of those early decision candidates. And we can talk more about that when we have our thing, but your students, the students have changed this. When, again, I go back to 2016, the number was half that. And so now with COVID, people are rushing to this early decision. Early action. That means you get to, you're non-committal, you saying, I like your school, but you're not legally bound to attend if you get in. You get to compare and contrast. Regular decision is just what it says, regular decision. And so those dates are all different. Again, we go back to the rubrics cube and they're ever changing depending on what the school you're applying to is. Generally, those November 15th, early decision, early action deadline, October 1st, that FAFSA opens. December 1st, priority deadlines for some scholarships. So December 15th is a huge thing for you to know if you're interested in U of M, because you need to get your application in there before the 15th to qualify. Now, some of you will look at the U of M website and it will say the deadline is January 1st. It is. You can still apply. This is a scholarship deadline. This is why this stuff is all crazy making and why I love it, because everything is super different. They'll tell you one place what one deadline is, but this is for a different thing. And so I encourage our students to get in there for those scholarship priority deadlines. December 30th, deadlines and regular decisions. Our school is closed during this time. January 1st, deadline for regular decision. Again, Great River is closed during that time. So planning ahead and looking at the fact, when do I have support? When is the school open? So I'm able to ask for those things way before they're needed. January 15th, deadline for the second early decision and regular decision. So that beginning of year for your senior is going to go super fast. One of the things that I ask is that you do not take a big vacation during that time. That is really setting your kid up. Also that you're looking at these deadlines as far as stress levels, especially for those IB diploma students, because they also have all that stress of the diploma and things that are due. I do work really closely with Lindsay to remove as much of that as possible. And we're constantly doing mental health and emotional health checks on that, especially for our seniors. So what are the parts of the college application? You have the student info, the common application essay, supplement essay, interview, and visits both online and in person, and this thing of demonstrated interest. Parents get obsessed, and I love y'all, but you get obsessed with this common app essay. And that is just one part of the application. The way that the activities are ordered, what they're involved in, how they answer this supplement essay, and also sometimes the interview and how they interact with the admissions officer matters just as much. So it's important that a great application reads together like a small novel, honestly, from beginning to end. You want it to be concise. You want it to explain who your student is as a learner, and you want the reader and the admissions officer to come away knowing that person. And that's what we look at, and that's what we've been successful in doing. FAFSA is a form that every student fills out. I ask that every student and their parents fill that out. That is a financial form that lets you know if you are given aid. And some of you will be like, I know we're not going to get an aid. I would tell you that the FAFSA takes other things into consideration that you might not be aware of, like your own student debt, things like that. And so it may surprise you. It doesn't take that long, and it's worth filling out. Every school requires the FAFSA. If you are undocumented and you do not have a social security number, I'm great at working through that, and there are colleges that give aid without that. So please don't feel like you have to have a social security to get financial aid, because I can help you through that process. It's just a little bit harder, but we figured out. The CSS profile, it is only for some schools, and these are the schools that generally meet 100% of need. And that is important for families to know, because they will cover every single part of the college costs. We have several students so far. We're still in the thick of hearing from schools, but we have several full rides that have paid for every single thing from transportation to books. So know what your 100% need schools are. Other form is custodial waiver. If you have legal custody, only one parent has legal custody, or there are extenuating circumstances where only one parent is responsible or for the financial aid, it does that. And I can help walk you through that. Minnesota Dream Act, again, that is for non-documented students. What I supply is a transcript of up to your junior year. And then I will supply your first quarter grades in December. I do that as a snapshot of what the grades are. And then I do, does it feel like I'm always doing reports? Because man, it feels like it. And then I do a mid-year report once their transcript goes through. I also do a student eval as a counselor, and I rate your student as far as IB diploma, rigor, etc. You have the counselor letter of rec, the guide letter of rec, and then when you graduate, you have a final report showing that you didn't senior slide. That's what I'm trying to keep everybody from doing right now. Nick, do we have any questions in the Q&A?
We do. Can you see it, or should I drop it in the chat?
If you could read it to me or say it, that would be
okay. When is the college fair that maybe happens at the convention center? That's question number one. I'll let you answer it.
Yeah, that's a great question. It's the end of October. Last year it was, I believe, October 25th, and I let everybody know about that.
And the other one is, how is the switch away from the EFC to a new formula impacting your strategy with students who have siblings in college at the same time?
Great question. So if you have siblings, so the EFC is estimated family contribution. That's the acronym. So great thing I didn't know when I had kids, because I just separated them 4 years apart because, you know, the first one was hard. But the other, having two students in college at the same time really increases your aid. Also, if you're a student at the same time, it also increases your financial aid. So that's anywhere that you can show that you have need or demonstrated need is great, especially again at those 100% need schools that take that into consideration. Any other questions, Nick, or are we good?
No, the rest of them were easy questions that I could answer.
Okay, great. So you hear a lot about me saying this college thing. And then at the end, when they're seniors, I say, I really actually don't care exactly where you go to college, or even if you go to college. What I care about is whether you love this act of learning and you feel like you have purpose, and you feel like the place that you're going to will challenge you and fill you up and be a little bit scary, but in a good way. And that's the stuff I care about. So what other supports do we offer at GRS besides the four-year college? Connection to community colleges. The Power of You is a brilliant program that we have a partnership with, that we renew those grants with every year. It is free community college to no matter what your GPA is. You could have a 1.3 GPA and still go into the Power of You program. The Power of You program is selective by need. So it's for families right now who are making under $80,000 a year. But it is a great source for being able to try out something and have somebody else pay for it. Maybe high school wasn't your thing, or maybe you want to be trained as a welder or an electrician and do something you've never done before. We have those programs. We also have partnerships with community colleges who come in during visit stays, and they do workshops in those internships, and also transition programs for those students who aren't ready for either and are looking at that. Community action, CAS, we have this wonderful thing at Great River that my kids used to complain a little bit about, but then grew to love, that are built into GRS time. And they let you try different jobs and careers and activities, and it's part of our graduation requirement. So it's wonderful if you think, I want to be a veterinarian, and then you go do your cast hours at a vet office and you find out, I really don't want to be a veterinarian. Like, those are things that we offer you to be able to try at Great River. And I think that's so important to look at what you're using your cast hours for and how that can connect to maybe the career or the person you want to be in the future. GRS also offers support with gap year fairs, how to write a gap year plan. And a gap year is a break from senior year to college. Counseling on what to do after a gap year, and connection to Rotary programs. We have had several students do the Rotary program. It's a federal program that pays for, again, everything. So I love those things that pay for everything. And they pay for you to go overseas and to live in a different country. And you can do that during high school, but also after graduation. And we've had people do that as well. What do I do now? Your summer matters. I'm going to be meeting with all juniors, talking about how to use it well. Visiting, maybe you get a summer coach, maybe you think about that, make a plan, visit a college, make a list of what feels good and what doesn't appeal to you when you do a college visit. Pay attention to how you feel in different learning environments. Like, some people my daughter says that math relaxes her. I have never said that. That is not something I have ever said, but we knew that that was her learning environment. She pay attention to where you breathe deeper, what class you look forward to the most, the style of that teaching. And if you come and you're talking to me about that, I can help match you with a college where that is happening more times than not. I'm using their college tools. Current seniors looking at the College Board, making a rough plan, looking at deadlines and mapping out your workload so that not everything is due at the same time. If you're doing the EEA, pick a topic that you're passionate about, that falls into your interest, and maybe one where you want to do it as a career. So be thinking about that. Work again as a family, not to plan vacations during those big deadlines. Again, COVID has changed so many things. A lot of you have pass fail on your transcript, things that I need to explain or we talk about. That's okay. That doesn't shut any door for you as long as we're able to talk about why it happened. How have colleges responded? What does student support look like? When you're visiting a college, it's really important to say, you know, what does your mental health supports look like? That isn't something that's taboo anymore and something we need to be more talking about. What do you do for students who have learning differences? What does that look like on your college campuses? What does equity look like? What does diversity or inclusion look like? Those are the big questions that I'm encouraging your students to ask because those things affect them dramatically. Especially after this time of COVID. Colleges do their best to understand, but it's also our job to explain any gaps in that grades or in that transcript. Planning it out, this college visit. So when I said I would love for each and every one of you to do an in-person college visit at a campus, and everybody laughs when I say this, but even if you never, ever, ever want to go to that college, the reason is because we are so blessed or lucky to have schools like McAllister, which is in walking distance of our high school, or Hamlin, or the U of M, because it lets you see what you like and you don't like. You don't have to spend hundreds of dollars flying across the country. Visit colleges that are near you, even if you don't want to go there. Because if you walk into a big lecture hall at the U of M and you see that you're taking calculus with 100 other kids, maybe that doesn't work for you. Maybe that excites you, but maybe that isn't the way that you learn. And so paying attention to the size, you can walk around a place like St. Olaf and be like, this town is just right for me, or this town is too small for me. And again, the more clues you can give me, the more I can help you match you with different colleges. Sign up for college visits at college websites virtually. You can do virtual tours and they investigate classes that you like, look at what's required, what's not required. I have some colleges that start in Italy or Berlin for that freshman year, and students just want to get out of the country. Maybe that's you. And so that's something to look at. Sit in on a class and explore the science building if you want to major in science, the art building. Look at all the possibilities of where you will be in real life. Every school will say it has a strong community, but when you start to ask them what that means, you get deeper in real answers. Ask the real questions that apply to you. What is your community like? Support, diversity, all of those things. Again, GRS has over the 60 colleges come and make connections with our students because not everyone can make a plane ride. And I'm passionate about that access. But also many colleges will fly you out if you are accepted, or for now, like a lot of 11th graders could be applying for a fly-in program to go visit a school and have the college pay for all the cost of flying them in. However, it is hard to know what you're working for if you have never set foot on a college campus. I'm a big believer in education of telling you, what do you want? What are you working for? Is that independence? Is that a certain skill in a certain area? All of those things. And you can't know those things if you're not opening those doors up. Any other questions, Nick? I see the box coming alive.
Yep, there is. I can read some here.
That would be great.
So there were some comments about the fact that the EFC has changed for this graduating class. And that there won't be any split between siblings at the school at the same time. Apparently because parents were gaming the system, and so there's some concern about that, about some changes that have happened.
So that is based on what colleges you're applying to. Like those 100% need are counting your need. So if you're paying tuition at two, you would be paying tuition at two colleges, that increases your need. And that is different than a FAFSA. So those schools are the CSS profile schools. So that is actually a different financial form. But yeah, I've never seen your aid decrease the more you have students on. They have simplified the FAFSA. So the FAFSA used to take parents about, an hour plus, and it was complicated. They have simplified it to very few questions now. And those are the biggest changes right now happening with the FAFSA, is it's becoming more simple.
Cool. There is another question that says, what is your latest thinking about writing college specific essays rather than using the Common App?
So let me see if I answered this correctly. So I tell all students the School of Great Rivers hooked up to the Common App. So you should not apply to schools individually if they are listed on the Common App. Almost all colleges are. There are some schools that aren't. For some reason, Georgetown isn't, Berkeley isn't. They use their own separate application. The reason we want you to use the Common App is because that lets teachers load all their letters of rec. That is like a mainstream that all that paperwork can go through. What happens if your student doesn't have that all loaded is their application actually is never even seen. So all those boxes need to be checked. Again, that's why I encourage you to use the Common App, because it's easier than for the student and for me to see if something's missing, if something didn't get loaded. Then that's our biggest tool right there. So. And on this open question time, I'm just going to let us have questions for the next 10 to 15 minutes, but I want to draw your attention to this fact of keep asking those questions. Here's my email, the Common Application. We're going to look at that as all students. Here's this fly-in program that I talked to you about, that students who might not have resources to visit schools. That's the Coalition for College Access. You can apply to fly out. Summer programs at various colleges. I'm going to be talking to you about this with your student when they meet with me. But the U of M has free programs. MAC has a wonderful pre-college scholar program. Joyce Ivy for female and non-binary students. Both of my daughters did that, and it flew them to different schools. One went to Smith and one went to Cornell University. They were able to be there for a summer program, and Joyce Ivy paid for it all. The Questbridge College match is a match with over 300 different schools, and it is a big deal, y'all. It is a free full ride for everything, including books and transportation. And it also hooks you up with research programs, and you are a Questbridge Scholar forever. And we have had several at Great River go on to schools like Stanford and Scripps last year. Also, the Friends of the Mississippi is an internship program that pays juniors to do research. And so you can talk to me about that. And the U of M's College Summer Camp. So you're all going to be mailed this slideshow or this video. And so you'll be able to see those links there. So that will all be there for you. But I am your answer of any question you may have for the next 10 to 15 minutes. So please type it into the chat and Nick will let me know. Anything else, Nick?
Nothing new in the Q&A. Nope.
Okay. Well, thank you all for coming. Your kids are great. I really like them a lot. So I am excited for this next process. And feel free to email me. Oh, go ahead.
I think one more question's about to come in.
Okay.
Maybe we'll pause for a moment.
Okay.
I think someone just wrote to say one more coming.
Okay.
Oh, how connected? Oh, here we go.
Yeah,
How connected are you to colleges outside the US?
Yeah, I do that. I also have students on my coaching business who are trying to get in here. So I get to do it both ends, which actually I think gives me a lot of perspective of it. We have students every year apply to schools outside the US. It's a different process because obviously they're not using those federal funds, but sometimes they cost a lot less. So it all depends on what school it is and those costs. And I am happy to walk that through with your student, but we have done that quite a bit at GRS. I see 4. Hope you've muted yourself.
No, all of them are just other comments from things
Okay,
that are. So
super.
I don't. Hold on. What? Oh, here. Sorry. Wow. Okay, things are popping up. Do GRS kids look at schools in Ontario?
We have had GRS kids do. Ontario, Montreal is also a big one, and Vancouver for some reason. Scotland has been another one, and Germany.
All right. Lots of thank yous, Teresa.
Okay. All right, y'all. Well, thank you so much from me for coming and for being part of this experience. I look forward to our next year together. Now go enjoy your evening. Take care. Bye-bye.